So, you're thinking about moving to the north side of Jacksonville, Florida, but not quite sure where to live. Well, in today's video, I'm going to be showing you everything you need to know about the north side of Jacksonville, Florida, so you can make the best decision. If you want to know everything about living in Jacksonville, Florida and surrounding areas, be sure to subscribe so you can stay up to date on the Jacksonville, Florida market. My name is Yasha, your favorite Jacksonville realtor. Be sure, if you have any questions, to call, text, or schedule an in-person Zoom meeting with me. All of my contact information is below in the description. So you may think that the Jacksonville north side area is all just one area, and it's not. And looking here at the map, you'll be able to see what really counts as the north side. So right away, when you're crossing this Dames Point Bridge, you are going over to the north side of Jacksonville. And there are actually, I would explain it in a way that the north side is divided into two different parts, and maybe even three if you really think about it. So we have this first section here. So right after you get off of the Dames Point Bridge, you're already in the New Berlin area. But then this area bleeds into Ocean Way and San Mateo and Dunn Creek and Pecan Park. Then we have Black Hammock Island and Cedar Point and Talbot Island. So all of this area is part of the north side, but also this side as well, because there is another bridge that connects this side of town, which would be considered the north side. And it's really more so northern Jacksonville. But I'm going to be focusing on this northeast side of North Jacksonville, and that's that area I mentioned earlier that is right after you get off the Dames Point Bridge. So really, to dive deeper into this area, you have when you're driving over the Dames Point Bridge, it's like one of the biggest bridges here in Jacksonville, and it's the big white bridge with the super huge structure that's over the St. Johns River. But while you're driving over that, you will see that there is the Jacksport area. There is this side where you'll mostly see ships and things, but then there's also this left side as well, where there's a lot of cargo ships and cargo and just containers and things like that are also over here. But as you're driving, you will also pass the zoo exit in this area, and then in the area as well are just a lot of a mix of homes. So you have some older homes that have been around for quite some time, and older communities. Then there are newer communities also in the area that are geared obviously towards new construction and just newer developments. And then there are also manufactured homes and trailers in this area. But I would say that's kind of the generalization for Florida in general. There's going to be a mix of those three things anywhere you go. But the further you go out into North Jacksonville, if you go towards Black Hammock Island, you're going to see a lot more of the manufactured homes and things like that. Now, also, when you are driving along this area, this kind of leads you to the jetties and Fort George and things like that, which is over here, which has an amazing, beach, and it's a state park, but you can, which is Huguenot, but we call it the Fort George area. But you're able to actually drive onto the beach with your vehicle. You can camp here. You can ride your jet skis. You could just have a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun stuff to do here. And a lot of people go to this area to hang out and party, especially if you have a boat in the Fort George area. But going back here, like I mentioned, to Black Hammock Island is just a lot more manufactured homes and older homes. And it's still a little bit more, I would like to say, country in this area because there's not a lot of development. So you may, have a longer hike to drive to your, local Publix or grocery store, or just to other things like shopping or school or anything like that. So with that being said, diving deeper into this part of North Jacksonville, we have the main attraction, which is River City Marketplace. That is right here. And this was not, I actually grew up on this side of town when we first moved to Jacksonville, my family and I, and in my teen years. So River City Marketplace was not even a thing. Like, it was not even there. There was no road that led to the River City Marketplace or anything like that. So until I got into high school, and that may be dating me a little bit or aging me a little bit, but once I got into high school, that was when they really started to develop this area. And what is here is just a lot of shopping, restaurants, banking, all of that is in this area. So this is the main road that will lead you to River City Marketplace. And like I mentioned, you will come across, different banking like Navy Federal. I believe Truist is out there now, and just some other ones as well. Maybe SunTrust. I don't know if they're still around over there. But those would be the, type of banks that are in the area. But then you have shopping and dining. You have places like Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Taco Bell. But then you'll have like BJ's, Chipotle, Smoothie King, stuff like that also there. And then there are, sometimes you'll come across some different boutiques. There's a really good Foot Locker that's out here also in River City. That was like my first job when I was 18 years old. So that is there, and it's a really great location for a shoe store. So for all of you that have children or just like shoes, great location. They did have a movie theater also here, but they are actually closing down to, I believe, convert that space to a BJ's, which is actually pretty cool because I think it's needed, especially since there's also a Walmart here. I want to say there's a Lowe's, and then just some other like outdoor stores, and just like I mentioned, a lot of shopping. But what will also, from this area, what will happen is you'll also be able to drive directly to the airport. So you are in very close proximity if you live in or on the north side to be able to get to the airport or your nearest airport. The next nearest airport or like biggest airport would be in Orlando, which is about 2.5 to 3 hours away from Jacksonville. So it's very convenient to have an airport that you can live by or near. That could be maybe 15-20 minutes if you live here on the north side of Jacksonville. Now, here off of Sterrett Road, so as you're driving, this is 295, which is the main highway that you're coming off the Dames Point Bridge, and then you have multiple exits, but this would be considered the Ocean Way area. And you can see the type of homes. They're, I would say, high 3s into the 4s and going into the 5s. You will find some homes with a little bit bigger home sites in the area because these homes are more established. So they even, in this area, they did have a Publix that is actually over here. So, or in this area, this general area here. So there's a Publix, but then they built a new Publix, a 2-story Publix, where you can actually dine and do all of that fun stuff inside the Publix grocery store. And I think that's actually one of the only ones that I know of that are 2 stories, the Publix. So as you come back further in here, this is Dunn Creek. This is right near the Publix. And you can see there's currently one home for sale for $270,000. There's quite a few rentals that I'm seeing around the 2,000 mark predominantly. Some in the 3s, but they're probably larger homes. There's also a local high school that's a public school that is also right here. So this is actually where the Publix would be. So Dunn Creek is actually right here, I'm sorry. And this is the Publix that is here, and there's a lot of other little shoppings. There's a gym here currently, and this would be the public high school right here, which is called First Coast High School. And then there's, like I mentioned, a couple of subdivisions here that are a little bit more established that were built back in, I would say, early to mid 2000s. in this airport center drive. This actually has a really good walkway here, but they have more stoplights here now because before there weren't stoplights. But in this area, really great for walking, or if you're looking to like run or anything like that. And also here at the high school, there is a track that you can go and run at. So that would be a really great thing for you to do locally in the area. Okay, so we touched on like the Black Hammock Island area, but now we have Alta Drive. So Alta Drive, and being in like this part of Ocean Way, you're closer to the zoo, the Jacksonville Zoo, and you're also closer to like the ports and things like that. But there was a new community over here off of Alta that turned this road. What you'll find in Jacksonville is a lot of the roads turn into other roads. So like Alta Drive is here, but then this is going to turn into Yellow Bluff Road. And so over here, there was a lot of newer homes in the last 5 years that were built in this area, and then a mix of some a little bit older homes in this area. But as I mentioned, you can see the price point that these homes are in, and it's just wild to me because a lot of the homes I remember, being 250,000 or 300, and now it is just so amazing to see how much property values have grown in the area, especially since the pandemic. Now they're approaching almost 500,000. There is another big community in this area, but like I mentioned, there's one thing you'll notice about Jacksonville is that you'll have like a shopping plaza like where Publix is, right? But you'll also have other smaller shopping plazas with like maybe a couple of restaurants or nail salon or something like that. A Walgreens, you'll find a Walgreens or CVS at kind of not every corner, but they'll be in close proximity to one another. But a lot more housing, and like I mentioned, it is a lot more spread out in this area. So that is like the Ocean Way area, predominantly this area here, mostly like right when you get off the bridge. Kind of going into the Peam Park area of North Jacksonville, this is a lot closer to the Jacksonville airport. There's a flea market out here as well. And then you have a little bit better access to get to the airport. But you're a little bit more north, and you'll be a little bit more north of like the River City Marketplace as well. But this is a little bit more tucked away, and of course not in direct traffic. They did build a new roadway for you to be able to get to the airport, which was really nice. So it just made like the traffic flow a lot better in this area. So that really sums up a lot of the north side or northeast side of North Jacksonville. And it is so big. I mean, look at it. From San Mateo, this is kind of leading more into like Dunn Avenue in that area. And it's right off another main road on the north side of Jacksonville, which is North Main Street. And then the Eastport Road, like I mentioned previously a lot, it goes kind of towards the Jacksport area. So there will be a lot more like commercial businesses that are along this road as well. But the North Main Street leads over to the Dunn Avenue area, which is the other part of North Jacksonville. But like I mentioned, we're focusing on the northeast part of North Jacksonville. And then if we go even further north, now we're going to be encroaching on the Yulee and Fernandina area, and then after that we'll be going into southeast Georgia. So we're very, very close to the border of Georgia. So if you're stationed as a military professional or something like that, and may still want to be in Florida, but willing to commute that 30-minute drive to the base there, that's an option. Or vice versa, if you're wanting to be at NAS Jax or Mayport here, or just want to live in Georgia, but have all of the luxuries of the things in Florida, you're able to do so as well, because we're just like right there. So that is the north side of Jacksonville, or northeast side of Jacksonville explained. So where should you live on the north side of of Jacksonville. We went over all the different areas or the main areas of Northeast Jacksonville, and it's really going to be up to you to decide on what part of the north side you are most interested in, how close you want to be to the airport or to shopping, or if you want to be a little bit closer out towards the water and kind of live more out on the countryside of Northeast Jacksonville. So if you're still unsure about where to live on the north side of Jacksonville, feel free to call, text, or schedule an in-person Zoom meeting with me so we can figure out what will work best for you, or even if you're interested in any other parts of Jacksonville, Florida. My name is Yasha Wells, your favorite Jacksonville realtor. Until next time.